Ryan Carter adjusted his suit jacket, trying not to sweat under the blazing twin suns of Dravesh Prime. The air shimmered with heat, and the scent of burning incense mixed with something metallic in the air. He stood at the center of a vast coliseum, surrounded by thousands of towering Draveshi warriors, an alien race known for their strength, honor, and terrifying combat skills. He swallowed hard. One wrong move could start an interstellar war. At the grand table before him, the Emperor Vazul sat on a throne of black stone, his massive frame draped in crimson battle robes. His curved horns gleamed under the sunlight, and his golden eyes bore into Ryan like a predator watching prey. Next to him sat Princess Silara, a striking figure with sapphire blue eyes and gleaming black armor. She had the regal air of a queen and the deadly presence of a warrior. Ryan had come to negotiate a peace treaty between Earth and the Dravashi Empire. Everything had been going fine, until Silara spoke. "I am the greatest warrior in the Empire," she declared, her voice ringing through the Colosseum. "No man has ever bested me in combat." Ryan, exhausted from days of tension, let out a small, accidental chuckle. It was a mistake, a big one. The crowd fell silent. The Emperor's expression darkened. Silara's eyes narrowed dangerously. Ryan's brain went into immediate panic mode. "Wait, I wasn't laughing at you," he blurted. "I was just thinking about something funny I saw earlier." The excuse didn't work. The Dravashi didn't understand nervous laughter. To them, mocking a warrior's strength was the ultimate insult. Emperor Vazul stood, his deep voice booming across the Colosseum. "By our laws, you have dishonored my daughter. There is only one way to restore her honor." Ryan barely had time to process before the Emperor delivered his next words. "You must marry her immediately, or die in the pit of 1,000 blades." Ryan's stomach dropped. His heart pounded in his chest. "Wait, what?" Ryan stood frozen in place, his mind struggling to catch up. Did he just get sentenced to marriage, or death? The Colosseum erupted into cheers. Dravashi warriors pounded their chests, excited by the sudden turn of events. Clearly, this was normal for them. Princess Silara, however, looked anything but pleased. Her sapphire blue eyes narrowed, scanning Ryan as if he were some kind of malfunctioning robot. "This is ridiculous," she said, turning to her father. "You cannot expect me to marry this soft-skinned diplomat." Ryan snapped out of his shock. "Hey, I'm standing right here, you know." Silara barely acknowledged him. Continuing, "He has no battle scars, no warrior's spirit. He probably doesn't even know how to wield a plasma blade." Ryan raised a hand. "For the record, I do know how to use a..." Her gaze cut through him like a knife. Silence. Ryan sighed. Yeah, this was going great. Emperor Vazul stroked his chin, considering, if he is unworthy, then let him prove himself. Ryan tensed. "Prove myself? How?" The Emperor's golden eyes gleamed. "A challenge. Of course, because why not?" Silara smirked. "Yes, let him face the trials of strength." Ryan gave a nervous laugh. How about a trial of diplomacy? Maybe a trial of who can file the best peace treaty?" No one laughed. Emperor Vazul raised a hand. "The challenge shall be this. If you wish to refuse my daughter's hand, you must defeat her in combat." Ryan's stomach sank. "Wait, what?" Silara grinned. "Finally, something interesting." The warriors roared in approval. The ground beneath Ryan felt like it was shaking. He had some combat training, but against a Dravashi warrior princess, that was like bringing a foam bat to a mech fight. Ryan turned to the Emperor. "And if I lose?" The Emperor gave a grave nod. "Then you will marry my daughter." Ryan blinked. "Wait, wouldn't that mean I win?" Silara scowled. "No, it means you live." Ryan's heart pounded. He was either going to get pummeled by an alien princess or end up married to her. Either way, he was doomed. Ryan stood in the center of the Colosseum's combat arena, staring at the massive stone doors on the other side. Any second now, they would open, and Princess Silara, the deadliest warrior in the Dravashi Empire, would step out, ready to pummel him into the ground. Around him, thousands of Dravashi warriors watched from towering stone seats, their voices booming through the air as they cheered for blood. Some called out battle strategies. Others placed bets on how many seconds Ryan would last. He adjusted the loose combat gear they had thrown at him, a dark tunic with golden patterns, armored boots, and a belt that held a plasma dueling blade. It was ceremonial, not the high-powered kind used in war, but it could still burn through steel if swung hard enough. Maybe I should have laughed a little quieter, Ryan muttered to himself. A deep, echoing gong sounded. The massive doors groaned open, revealing Princess Silara. She stepped forward, every movement fluid and controlled, like a predator sizing up its prey. Her black and silver armor shimmered under the twin suns, and her long, dark hair was braided with golden rings, traditional for warriors about to enter battle. She unsheathed her own plasma blade, a sleek weapon that crackled with a faint blue energy. Ryan gulped. He was so dead. Silara tilted her head. You have one chance, Earthmen. Surrender now, and I will make your defeat quick. Ryan sighed and activated his blade. A golden energy hum flickered to life in his hand. Yeah, see, the thing is, if I surrender, I have to marry you, he said, shifting into a defensive stance. And while I'm sure you'd make a lovely wife, I'm not ready for that level of commitment. Silara's lips twitched. Was that almost a smile? But then she lunged. Ryan barely dodged as her blade slashed through the air, leaving a streak of blue light. The force of her swing was so strong, it sent dust flying. Ryan staggered back. She was fast. Silara didn't let up. She struck again, forcing Ryan to block. The moment their blades clashed, his arms shook from the impact. She was way stronger than him. The crowd roared in approval. Ryan barely had time to breathe before she came at him again, each swing faster than the last. He dodged, parried, dodged again. He couldn't win with strength. He had to think. Then an idea hit him. As Silara swung for his side, Ryan dropped to the ground. He rolled beneath her attack and came up behind her, tapping her armor lightly with his blade. The crowd fell silent. Ryan grinned. Tag. You're it. Silara turned slowly. Her sapphire blue eyes narrowed, and for the first time, she looked truly interested. So, she said, lifting her blade again, you can think. Ryan sighed. Why did that make things sound worse? Because now she was taking this seriously. Ryan barely had time to blink before Silara attacked again, twice as fast. Her plasma blade sliced through the air, forcing him to jump back. She struck again, and Ryan barely managed to block. The impact rattled his bones, making his hands go numb. The crowd roared, sensing the shift. The princess was no longer playing. She was testing him, pushing him to his limits. Ryan gulped. I think we can all agree that I made my point, yeah. I landed a hit, so maybe we. Silara's next strike nearly took his head off. Okay, never mind. Ryan dodged, rolled, and scrambled for a plan. He couldn't beat her in raw strength or speed. That much was obvious, but he was quick, and he could think on his feet. Time to even the playing field. Silara lunged again. Instead of blocking, Ryan sidestepped at the last second. Her blade slammed into the arena floor, kicking up dust and sparks. Ryan took his chance. With a burst of speed, he ducked under her guard and swiped his blade low, aiming for her legs. But Silara was faster. She spun, avoiding his attack completely, and before he could react, BM. Her foot slammed into his chest. Ryan felt the world flip as he soared backward, hitting the ground hard. The arena erupted in cheers. Ryan groaned. Ow. Silara stalked forward, her expression unreadable. She stopped just short of him, and pointed her blade at his throat. "It's over," she said. Ryan glanced at the blade, then at her. "Okay, sure. But hear me out. What if we call it a tie?" The crowd booed. Silara scoffed. "A tie? You're on the ground." "True," Ryan admitted, "but I lasted longer than anyone expected." He gave a weak grin. "That has to count for something, right?" Silara's sapphire eyes studied him for a long moment. Then, to his shock, she smirked. "You are amusing," she said. "Stronger than you look. Smarter than you seem." Ryan perked up. "So does that mean I win?" Silara's smirk widened. "No." Before he could react, she grabbed his arm and hauled him to his feet, not gently. Ryan wobbled. "Whoa. Ever heard of personal space?" She ignored him and turned to her father. "The challenge is complete." The Emperor stood, his golden gaze fixed on Ryan. Then, after a long pause, he laughed. It was a deep, booming sound that shook the arena. "This human is worthy," Emperor Vozul declared. "The wedding shall proceed." Ryan froze. "Wait, what het?" The crowd erupted in cheers. Dravashi warriors pounded their chests. Silara looked, startled. Ryan turned to her. "You don't actually want this, right? You were just trying to teach me a lesson." Silara hesitated. Then, with a sigh, she muttered, "It is tradition." Ryan ran a hand through his hair. "Well, Earth has a tradition too, called asking first." Silara raised a brow. "And if I refuse?" Ryan hesitated. The whole empire was watching. He was trapped. With no way out, he groaned. "Well, guess we're engaged now." Ryan sat stiffly in the grand Dravashi Palace Hall, his mind still trying to process what had just happened. He was engaged to an alien princess. Across from him, Silara sat with perfect posture, her sapphire eyes watching him like a predator studying prey. She looked calm, like she wasn't bothered at all. Ryan, on the other hand, was very much bothered. The Emperor had left them alone, saying it was important for the future husband and wife to bond. Ryan was pretty sure that was code for "You're stuck here, deal with it." He rubbed his temples. "All right, let's go over this again. There's no way to cancel this, right?" Silara raised a brow. "You insulted me in the arena. The only way to resolve such dishonor is through combat or marriage. Since you fought well, my father declared you worthy." Ryan let out a dry laugh. "Great, so I basically won the worst lottery in the galaxy." Silara frowned. "Is the idea of being my husband so terrible?" Ryan looked at her. She was gorgeous, no doubt. Tall, athletic, with golden bronze skin that shimmered under the palace lights. Her long silver-white hair cascaded down her back, and her sharp, regal features gave her an air of confidence that was both intimidating and kinda attractive. Ryan quickly shook his head. "Nope, can't think like that." He sighed. "Look, it's not that you're not, stunning or anything." Silara's lips curled into a smirk. "So you do find me attractive?" Ryan coughed. "That's beside the point." He gestured wildly. "I barely know you. Back on Earth, people date first. They don't go from accidental insult to forced royal wedding in one day." Silara tilted her head. "That seems inefficient." Ryan groaned and slumped in his chair. This was impossible. A sudden knock at the door interrupted them. A Dravashi attendant entered, bowing slightly. "The engagement feast is ready, Your Highness." Ryan sat up. "Feast." Silara stood. "It is tradition." Ryan's stomach twisted. He had a bad feeling about this. The feast of regret. The grand banquet hall was packed. Dravashi nobles filled the long tables, eating and laughing as alien musicians played in the background. Ryan sat next to Silara at the head table, trying not to look as lost as he felt. The food before him was questionable. Some dishes looked like roasted meat, others looked like they might still be alive. He nudged Silara. "Oh, what's this?" She glanced at his plate. Ferric meat. A delicacy. Ryan picked up a piece and sniffed it. It smelled like burnt rubber. Lara grabbed a chunk and bit into it without hesitation. Ryan gulped. No way was he eating that. Instead, he reached for a strange fruit that looked vaguely like a blue apple. He took a cautious bite. His tongue burned instantly. Ryan coughed violently, eyes watering as he gasped for air. The nobles burst into laughter. Lara covered her mouth, clearly amused. "Ah, I forgot to warn you. That is a recal fruit. It is very spicy." Ryan chugged water and glared at her. "You forgot." She smirked. "Perhaps I wanted to see your reaction." Ryan groaned. "Fantastic. My fiancé is a menace." Before Lara could reply, the Emperor stood, raising his goblet. The hall fell silent. "My people," he declared, "tonight we celebrate a union between warriors. Let us drink to the future of my daughter and her new mate." Ryan froze. Lara lifted her goblet and turned to him expectantly. "Drink." Ryan eyed the dark liquid in his cup. "What exactly is this?" Lara smirked. "You will like it. Probably." Ryan sighed. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" Lara clinked her goblet against his. "Very much." Ryan's head throbbed as he woke up the next morning. The celebration had lasted hours, and that alien drink, way stronger than anything he'd ever had on Earth. He groaned, rubbing his face. Of never drinking alien wine again. A sharp knock at the door made him jolt upright. Before he could respond, the door slid open and Lara stepped in. She looked completely fine, of course. Not even a trace of exhaustion, despite last night's never-ending feast. She folded her arms, her silver-white hair shimmering in the morning light. "Get dressed, Terran. We have an important event." Ryan blinked. "Wait, what?" Lara smirked. "The trial of worthiness." Ryan paused. That name did not sound good. The trial of worthiness. Ryan stood in the center of a massive arena, his gut sinking as he realized something terrible. This was a gladiator pit. All around him, Dravishi warriors cheered, pounding their fists against their chests in excitement. He glanced at Lara, who stood confidently beside him. "You want to explain why I'm standing in an alien fight club?" She smirked. "Dravishi tradition demands that a mate must prove their strength before marriage. You must face a challenge." Ryan ran a hand down his face. "Why does every part of this marriage involve possible death?" Lara grinned. "Because strength is respected, and weakness is not." Before Ryan could argue, the Emperor stood from his high throne above the arena and raised a hand. The crowd fell silent. "Today, the Terran known as Ryan will prove his worth." The Emperor boomed. "He will face the Fang Beast." Ryan's stomach dropped. "Fang Beast," he echoed. "That doesn't sound good." The arena gates rumbled open. A massive creature stomped onto the battlefield. It stood on 4 muscular legs, covered in thick, spiked armor. 2 curved fangs as long as Ryan's arms jutted from its mouth, and its glowing red eyes locked onto him. Ryan exhaled sharply. "Yup, definitely not good. Man versus monster." The Fang Beast roared, shaking the entire arena. Ryan did what any sane person would do. He ran. The crowd laughed as the creature charged after him. Ryan barely dodged as it swiped a claw the size of a car door at him. Okay. Think, Ryan," he muttered, ducking behind a stone pillar. "No weapons, no armor, just me and my dumb luck." He peeked around the pillar. The Fang Beast snorted steam, searching for him. Then an idea hit him. Ryan picked up a loose rock and hurled it at the beast's face. It bounced off uselessly. The Fang Beast turned, growling in annoyance. Ryan groaned. "Great, I just made it mad." The creature charged. Ryan waited. At the last second, he dove to the side. The beast's massive weight slammed into the stone pillar. The impact cracked the structure, sending debris tumbling down. Ryan grinned. That worked. The fang beast shook off the rubble and snarled, turning back toward him. Ryan needed a bigger trap. He sprinted toward the arena wall, where larger pillars lined the edges. The beast chased him, exactly as he hoped. When he reached the largest pillar, he grabbed a small stone and threw it at the beast's face again. The creature roared in rage and charged full speed. Ryan gritted his teeth. Wait for it. Just before impact, he jumped to the side. The fang beast slammed into the pillar at full force. This time, the entire structure collapsed. A massive chunk of stone crashed down onto the beast, pinning it. The arena fell silent. Ryan, panting, slowly stood up. The fang beast whimpered, unable to move. Then the crowd erupted into cheers. Sci-Fi stepped forward, her sapphire eyes gleaming. Clever. Ryan gave a tired grin. Told you. I fight smart. The Emperor laughed, standing from his throne. The Tyrann has proven his worth. Let the wedding preparations begin. Ryan froze. Wait. What? Ryan stood frozen in the middle of the arena as the crowd roared in excitement. He turned to Sci-Fi, eyes wide. Wait. Hold on. I thought this was just a trial to prove I wasn't weak. Sci-Fi smirked. It was. And you passed. Ryan ran a hand down his face. And now I'm getting married. She tilted her head. Yes. Was that not clear? Ryan groaned. Aliens and their crazy traditions. The Emperor raised a hand, and the crowd slowly fell silent. He smiled down at Ryan. You have shown intelligence and courage, Tyrann. The union shall proceed immediately. Ryan blinked. Immediately. Before he could protest, 2 Dravashi attendants grabbed his arms and started pulling him toward the Grand Palace. Dressed for doom, Ryan stood in the middle of an ornate chamber, staring at himself in the mirror. He was wearing a ridiculous outfit. The ceremonial armor was deep blue, with silver engravings of Dravashi war symbols along the chest. A long flowing cape trailed behind him, and a heavy jeweled collar sat around his neck. Okay, Ryan muttered. I look like a space prince. The attendants circled him, making adjustments to his outfit. One of them, an older Dravashi woman, nodded approvingly. You wear it well, Tyrann. Ryan sighed. Thanks, I think. Just then, the doors swung open, and Sci-Fi stepped inside. Ryan's breath caught. She looked stunning. Her gown was a mix of silver and deep purple, embroidered with glowing threads that shifted like flowing stardust. A delicate golden circlet rested on her forehead, accentuating her sharp, regal features. Ryan let out a low whistle. Wow. Sci-Fi raised an eyebrow. Surprised. Ryan smirked. A little. You clean up nice, princess. She rolled her eyes, but didn't hide the small smile on her lips. And you don't look entirely foolish. Ryan placed a hand over his chest. High praise. I might cry. She shook her head. Come. The ceremony begins soon. Ryan sighed. Yeah, about that. I'm still a little confused. What exactly happens at this wedding? Sci-Fi paused. You truly don't know. Ryan crossed his arms. Nope. And I'm starting to think that's on purpose. She hesitated, then gave a small smirk. Let's just say, there is one final test. Ryan's stomach dropped. You have got to be kidding me. The final test. The grand hall was packed with Dravashi nobles, warriors, and high-ranking officials. The air buzzed with excitement as Ryan and Sci-Fi stood before the Emperor. Ryan leaned over slightly. Okay, seriously. What's this final test? Sci-Fi smirked. You'll find out soon. The Emperor raised a hand. The Tyrann has proven his strength in battle, but there is one final challenge before the sacred bond is sealed. Ryan's pulse quickened. A large metal box was carried into the room. It was covered in intricate engravings, and glowing symbols flickered across its surface. Ryan swallowed. Oh boy. The Emperor gestured to the box. This is the binding relic of Saros. It determines the true strength of the bond between two souls. Ryan grimaced. That sounds ominous. An attendant stepped forward, holding out a small glowing sphere. The Terran and my daughter will place their hands upon this relic, the Emperor announced. If their souls are truly aligned, the relic shall bless their union. Ryan exhaled sharply. And if they're not? The Emperor smiled. Then the relic will reject you. Ryan narrowed his eyes. Define reject. The Emperor didn't answer. Ryan turned to Xylara. Okay, this seems important. Maybe you should have told me about this earlier. Xylara grinned. Would you have agreed to the challenge if I did? Ryan hesitated. No. She chuckled. Exactly. Ryan groaned. Unbelievable. The Emperor gestured. Place your hands upon the relic. Ryan took a deep breath. No turning back now. He stepped forward and placed his hand on the glowing sphere. Xylara did the same. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a blinding light erupted from the relic, swirling around them in a vortex of golden energy. The crowd gasped. Ryan winced as a strange warmth spread through his chest. It felt like something was reaching inside his mind. Images flashed before his eyes. Memories of Xylara, their first meeting, their battles, their arguments, the way her eyes softened when she looked at him. A voice echoed in his mind. Is your bond true? Ryan gritted his teeth. He had no idea how this worked, but he turned to Xylara. She was looking at him with wide eyes. He exhaled. Yeah, it's true. A shockwave of golden light burst outward. The relic hummed, and the glowing energy wrapped around their hands. The Emperor's eyes widened. The bond has been accepted. The crowd exploded into cheers. Ryan stared at the golden light fading into his skin. What just happened? Xylara smirked. Congratulations, Terran. You passed. Ryan groaned. I need a drink. Ryan stood in stunned silence as the golden light faded from his skin. The crowd roared with excitement, the air filled with the deep, rhythmic cheers of the Dravashi nobles and warriors. The Emperor himself nodded approvingly. The bond is sealed, he declared. The Terran and my daughter are now united. Ryan exhaled sharply. So that's it. I passed. Xylara smirked. That's it. Ryan rubbed his temple. You know, a little warning would have been nice. She shrugged. Where's the fun in that? The grand ceremony. The hall was transformed for the wedding feast. Enormous tables were covered in exotic dishes, roasted meats, glowing fruits, and bubbling golden drinks that smelled of honey and spice. Ryan eyed the food suspiciously. Is any of this gonna kill me? A Dravashi servant chuckled. The feast has been prepared to suit your Terran biology. Ryan sighed in relief. Good, because after today, I need a real meal. Xylara picked up a small, deep blue fruit and handed it to him. Try this. Ryan took a bite and blinked in surprise. It tasted like a mix of strawberries and caramel, with a cool, fizzy aftertaste. Okay, he admitted. That's actually amazing. Xylara smirked. See, our food isn't so bad. As they ate, the Emperor rose from his seat and raised a golden goblet. The crowd fell silent. Tonight, we celebrate a union between two worlds, he announced, and the start of a new era for our people. The crowd cheered again, and Ryan couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment. He was no longer just a lost human in an alien empire. He was part of it now. A private moment. Hours later, after the feast and the endless congratulations, Ryan finally stepped onto the palace balcony to get some air. The city stretched before him. Towers of shining crystal, floating platforms, and the endless stars beyond. It was beautiful, but so different from Earth. Would he ever see home again? You're quiet. Ryan turned. Xylara stood in the doorway, her silver gown shimmering in the soft light. Just taking it all in, he said. She stepped closer. Regrets. Ryan sighed. I don't know. This all happened so fast. A few days ago, I was just a stranded pilot. Now I'm in an alien empire, married to a warrior princess. Silera raised an eyebrow. You make it sound terrible. Ryan chuckled. Not terrible. Just unexpected. She tilted her head. Do you still think you don't belong here? Ryan hesitated, then shook his head. I don't know where I belong anymore. Silera was silent for a moment. Then, to his surprise, she reached out and took his hand. You belong where you choose to be, she said softly. Ryan looked at her. He saw something in her eyes, something genuine. Maybe he wasn't as lost as he thought. A new journey begins. The next morning, Ryan awoke to chaos. A loud explosion rocked the palace, shaking the walls. Ryan shot up from bed. What the hell was that? Silera was already grabbing her weapons. We're under attack. Ryan groaned. Oh, come on. Can't I get one normal day? Silera tossed him a blade. Time to prove you really belong here, Terran. Ryan gripped the weapon, heart pounding. Looks like his new life was about to get even crazier.